Hello, so I thought today it would be a nice idea to celebrate the beauty and history of redheads, the 1% of the population of the world that carries the MC1R gene. The book of Genesis is perhaps the first book to have been written down, and in the book of Genesis we have the first celebrity redhead, Esau, who was tricked by his brother Jacob into trading his firstborn status, his birthright, for a bowl of soup. And so did Jacob go on to become one of the fathers of the Israelites. But Esau was born red all over like a hairy garment, and one interpretation is that Esau had some recessive Neanderthal gene, and the theory is that Neanderthals had red hair, although the genetic mutation responsible for red hair in Neanderthals is different to that which causes red hair in humans. Now, red hair occurs most commonly in people of Germanic or Celtic origin. Ireland has the most redheads per capita in the world at around 10%, but the highest density of redheads, and thus the redhead capital of the world, is actually Edinburgh. And it's thought that the reason redheads are more commonly found in colder climates is that it's actually an advantage where sunlight is sparse. Your lighter skin improves the absorption of sunlight, which is vital for production of vitamin D. Red hair is also relatively common among Ashkenazi Jews. Now, many Jews in literature have actually been portrayed with red hair. Shylock in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, and Fagin in Dickens' Oliver Twist. And during the Inquisition in Italy and Spain, where red hair is less common, those with red hair were actually identified as Jews, even if they weren't actually Jewish. And Judas, the betrayer of Christ, was also portrayed as a redhead. Today, however, the Commission for Racial Equality doesn't monitor cases of discrimination and hate crimes against redheads. Perhaps it should. The ancient Greeks seemed to be particularly admiring of redheads. In men, red hair was associated with honour, courage, valour, while in women, red hair was associated with beauty. The poet Homer says that the heroes Menelaus and Achilles, above all Achilles, were both redheads. And of course, Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman that ever lived, was a redhead. Aphrodite, goddess of beauty and love, was also red-headed. These paintings date to the Renaissance, but the idea that she was red-headed goes all the way back to ancient times. Botticelli and especially Titian were always painting beautiful women with red hair, to the extent that Titian now means auburn. And the hair of female statues in ancient Greece was often painted red. The Greeks loved the colour red. Redheads were first mentioned in literature by the Greek poet Xenophanes around 500 years BC, who was describing the Thracians, who it seems were red-headed and blue-eyed and fearsome warriors. Many slaves in ancient Greece as well as Rome came from the northern territories, and red-headed slaves would often fetch a higher price as they were thought to bring good luck. And red wigs were given to actors depicting slaves in Greek and Roman theatre. And actually this is one fringe theory to explain the modern mocking of redheads, is that it stems from the Roman subjugation and persecution of Celts after the Romans first arrived in the British Isles. Now, Aristotle was not as keen as other ancient Greeks on redheads. He's supposed to have said that those with tawny coloured hair are brave, witness the lions, but those with reddish hair are of bad character, witness the foxes. The Romans seem to be just as admiring of redheads as the Greeks, particularly among the fierce Gaulish tribes who stood up to Rome. Titus Livy said that the Gauls stand first in reputation for war, with their tall bodies, long reddish hair, huge shields, very long swords, and songs and yells as they go into battle. They terrify their foes. And from the Thracians to the Gauls to the Vikings to the Celts, there's always been this connection between battle strength and fearsomeness and flame-coloured hair. The English warrior queen Boudica or Boadicea was a redhead. And perhaps the greatest warrior of the lot, Genghis Khan, was long-bearded, red-haired and green-eyed. Egyptian pharaohs were found to have had hair with reddish pigments, among them Ramesses the Great, the most powerful of them all. Cleopatra was a redhead, Alexander the Great, Richard the Lionheart, the great Ottoman naval commander Hayreddin Barbarossa, Queen Elizabeth I, of course, Mary Queen of Scots. Mary Magdalene was often depicted with red hair. Even the gods, Bacchus and Hades. Now the Prose Edda is one of the oldest Norse documents, and Odin the All-Father, ruler of the gods, is a wise and thoughtful ruler with blonde hair, but his quick-tempered son Thor, god of thunder though, is possessed of a full head of red hair and an enormous bushy red beard. And red-headed men have often been stereotyped as temperamental and quick to violence, while red-headed women are loose, libidinal and wild. In Gulliver's Travels, Jonathan Swift said that it's observed that the red-haired of both sexes are more libidinous and mischievous than the rest, whom yet they much exceed in strength and activity. And this sort of stereotype might actually be borne out by science. A German sex researcher found that women with red hair have sex more often, and an English study found that red-headed girls have sex on average 3 times a week, while blondes and brunettes only have it twice. And as for the temper stereotype, a 2004 study found that redheads feel pain and cold temperatures more vividly, and they get stung by bees more often. So maybe there's an actual reason for the anger. And a 1486 treatise on redheads called Malleus Maleficarum declared that those whose hair is red of a certain peculiar shade are unmistakably vampires. So now you know. Thanks very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll be back with another video very soon.